So I think we're live. Yes, we're live. Hey everyone. Just wait for a... Oh yes, first person. Hey Bree. Welcome guys. We have a few of my team popping on here. That's good. Hi Carmen, nice to see you. Hey Jan. Nice to see a few familiar faces and names popping up here on our live this afternoon. Some of my COLOR.MASTER team, some of my salon team. Hey guys, how are you? I'm just going to wait a few minutes for a few other people to pop on before we get started. So I'll just give it about a minute before we do that. But welcome to my live from New Zealand. I'm currently in Wellington, New Zealand, and we are in a lockdown of level 4, which means that we have isolation and a lockdown until the end of this month. So only essential services can run at the moment. Hi Nick, how are you? And so what that means is no hairdressing. So all of the salons in the whole of New Zealand are closed. The only services that are actually running now are supermarkets, medical and petrol stations. So very limited. I'm looking forward to sharing on this live because we are all in a very similar situation. Oh, hey Mana, hey Kerry. Nice to see some of my colleagues from NZ online today and some of my Masters team. Excellent. I think we've got quite a few people on board. We'll just wait one or two more, a little bit longer, and then we'll get started. It's such a beautiful day here in Wellington. I hope it is wherever you are too. We're kind of having a delayed summer spring, which is nice to be able to. It has actually made all the difference in being in isolation or having to be in lockdown. The weather being nice means that we can get out for a few walks and things, which makes it so much more enjoyable. Hey Cheryl, how are you? Oh nice, someone just commented they visited in January, enjoyed it so much. Yes, please visit again. Oh, hi Yvonne, she's coming to us from Norway in the middle of the night. That's amazing. Thanks for joining us. Hi Kate. Okay, Tim, I think
all right, Janine, the volume's good, so we're good to go.
Okay, perfect. I think we've got enough people to get started. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me today for my Facebook Live on KMTV. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some things with you around maintaining a team culture while we're all having to operate isolated from each other and from a distance. So my name is Janine Simons, and I am the Kevin Murphy COLOR.MASTER for Asia Pacific. And alongside that, I also have a salon that I run here in Wellington City in New Zealand. So I have 2 locations for my salon. One is situated on the edge of the city, and the other one is actually more in the heart of the city. And I have 15 team members across both salons. So we operate from 2 locations, however, we work very much as one team. So today I'm going to be sharing something else that I'm passionate about. So I'm not going to be doing colour techniques today as a colour master, which most of you are probably used to seeing me in that role. I am going to be sharing how as a salon and as a team, we have taken some of the things that we do in our salon and putting them online so that we can actually continue to maintain our strong team culture while we're all separated and isolated. So the 3 things that I really want to share with you all today is number 1, values and how important they are for a team. And then number 2, I want to go through a culture calendar. So a culture calendar is something that we have within our salon team. And it is something that can be implemented across any team. So I think there might be some things of value for you there. And then thirdly, I want to share just how important education is to be at the core of any team as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started on those things. I do have Tim Abney with me from KM today, so he is waiting for any questions that might come in. He'll share them with me as we go. So please feel free to pop any questions into the comments and I'll answer them as best that I can. All right, so let's get started with values. So values for my team and for me as a person, they create like the foundation and the structure of your team. So what that really means is that they set the expectation and often the behaviors around which each team should operate. So for my salon team, we actually have 3 core values. And as Kevin Murphy, the brand, we have 3 core principles. And they're similar things. So the Kevin Murphy core principles are fashion, performance, environment. And then our main salon values are loyalty, happiness, and excellence. And when you have strong values or core principles like that, it means that you have a level playing field. Everybody knows what's expected of them when they're working out there, educating globally, or whether they're in your salon functioning as a salon team of stylists. So I'm just going to dive a little bit deeper into our 3 salon values, and some things that I've discovered along the way that have worked really well, and other things that haven't, and how we've adapted them. So let's start with our 3 values. So we have happiness, loyalty, and excellence. And those 3 values have a behavior attached to them. So for example, excellence for us means to teach something or learn something and then some. So the behaviors that we can expect to see within our salon team is, if you have downtime, you will be teaching somebody, or you'll be learning something else, or you'll be sharing something to the greater industry. And so that's how we live by those values within our salon. The second one is happiness. And for us, happiness is about smiling. And we have a saying called change the story in your head. So the behavior behind changing the story in your head, we all have those moments where our mindset is maybe not so great. We might be thinking something slightly negative, or we might not be super positive or feeling good about something that we need to do. So it really is about changing the story in your head so that your mindset becomes, how can I make that possible? Or how can I make that work for me? And therefore create a sense of happiness. And smiling obviously is a key one when we're educating. Hey Nathan. So when we're educating or we are working with our clients on the salon floor, it can be super easy to get into this kind of resting face zone, and we don't even know that we're doing it. So we kind of have little triggers and things so that we remind each other to keep that smile going on. And then our last but not least is loyalty. So loyalty for us really means being there, and how we do that is we have the behaviors we have behind that is checking in and giving and receiving feedback. So that sounds like a fairly easy behavior to do, but we all know within teams, it's actually quite hard to give certain types of feedback. So it's very easy to give compliments and, great haircut you did today, or the way you delivered that course was excellent. It's much harder to kind of have an open conversation with somebody around behaviors that weren't perhaps living up to our values, or maybe having to have a conversation with a team member about the way in which they're doing something. It's not the Kevin Murphy way or the main salon way. So by having these 3 core values with behaviors attached to them, it allows us to have clear and open feedback processes. And actually we have, within our salon team, we have a really strong and clear feedback process. That's a whole nother session in itself. But I think feedback is a really important thing to be able to give it and to be able to take it. So why have values? Coming back to setting expectations and boundaries, it's also a way of holding each other accountable to behaviors and the way in which we do things around here. So the way that we developed our values, we actually have yes, I love my wallpaper too. Thanks, Oscar. I'm at my little beach place up on the coast, and it's like late 60s, early 70s, and we've kept some of the original things for us. Sorry, I digress about wallpaper. So the way in which we developed our values is as a team, we all met together, and as I said earlier, I've got 15 people in my salon team. So we all got to circle from a list about, we all circled 10 values that actually were true to us or resonated with us personally. And from there, we went through a process of elimination. So that took a wee while, as you can imagine, with 15 people. We went through all the values that people had circled, and then voted. You had the opportunity to vote on 3. So we eliminated down to about 7, and then after that it kind of got eliminated down to about 5. And actually when we first did our main salon values, we settled on 5, and put the behaviors in behind that. But however, sort of just learning from experience, sharing my experience with you, 5 was too many. It was actually too many to integrate into actual behaviors when it came to salon life or team life. So we actually took a closer look at them and found that we could eliminate it down to 3, because a few of the behaviors that sat in behind our core values actually could sit under 3 of them. So the behaviors we had for the 2 we got rid of, we could put under excellence and loyalty. So that was great. And it's much, much easier to have less values with strong behaviors, and then you can integrate them into the team. So the key thing with values is actually integrating that behavior into the team. In the past, I've had values and we've defined them, and they've been in our manual or employee handbook, and they're defined, but it's really just words on a paper. The hard part and the key part is actually defining the behaviors that go with each of those values, and then actually integrating it into the salon. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we do that through our culture calendar. But I recommend in this time of isolation or separation, you have the time to do these kind of things. So if you have values and they've been there for a long time, then maybe perhaps look at revisiting them. If you've got a whole lot of new people to your team, then you definitely should be looking to revisit them, because there might be a shift in those values with different people that are now on board. And if you've never done them, what a great time to actually schedule an online session and go work through with your team how to create values and dive down from there into defining them. And then the key thing from that point is make sure that you define a behavior that is going to go with them. So to give you an example, when we decided on excellence went from, well, what does that actually look like, and what does it mean to be excellent? What am I doing when I'm being excellent? And so that then created our behaviors of, when I'm being excellent, I am going above and beyond, I'm being and then some. And I'm also learning, or I'm teaching. So that's how we came about our behaviors. So hopefully that helps. In a day in a life of isolation or separation, get online and have a value session with your team. And then when you go back into the salon after we've finished with being locked down, you'll go back with a much more succinct and cohesive team that really understand what it looks like to be a part of the salon, and what are we going to do and how are we going to do it today. So that's why I wanted to share values with you. Yeah. Hey, Tim.
We have a question. So with anyone, let's say that you've had a new team member join you that has come from a different salon dynamic that has different values, any tips and tricks on getting them to adopt your values a lot smoother and a lot quickly?
Yes, for sure. Great question, Tim, actually. So our values are actually integrated into our recruitment process. We have quite a lengthy recruitment process, so I won't go into that today. However, we actually, right from that recruitment process, we put values on the table. We get them to circle theirs. We get them to talk about what that means for them. 9 times out of 10, there'll be 1 or 2 of those values that actually really align with how we already are rolling, or our behavior. So that's always great. And then we have an open and honest conversation about our values as they are, and the behaviors by which we expect from you when you become a main salon. We call ourselves maniacs, actually. So if I refer to maniacs, that's what I'm talking about in the future. So those, we table those straight away, because if the values really don't align with someone that is being recruited or coming into our team, then it's probably not the right place for them. So yeah, straight away we eliminate that. When recruitment's a huge part of what we do, and it's so important that we get that right, because if we have somebody that's not right for our culture, it affects the whole team. And I won't lie, hand on heart, I've had situations where I've not quite had the right person for my team, and when it happens, it always happens when I don't follow my recruitment process. So I've got to hold myself accountable to that sometimes too. As a salon, it's really easy to desperately need someone and just grab someone straight away that might apply. However, if their values aren't aligned, it's never going to work out. So hopefully that answers that question, Tim.
It does, Janine, and you've got quite a few requests already coming in. They would like to see you do another segment on your actual recruitment process and breaking that down.
Oh, yes, sure.
So I've made a note for you.
Yes, sure. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Like I say, our recruitment process is relatively involved and lengthy, and I think it needs to be, because we have to maintain that culture, and we have to think about the team members and the clientele that we already have. It's so important that we get the right fit for that. So yes, I'd be excited to do share a recruitment session definitely in the future. So hopefully that kind of helps everyone with values and why they are important to a team culture. It's kind of like the backbone of everything we do. And for us at Main Salon, our overarching feeling or vibe that all of our values sit underneath is about creating a sense of belonging. So that for us really means that we want individuals within our team to feel like they belong. They can be authentically themselves within our sort of systems and structure. We want our clients to feel super welcome. We don't want anyone that walks in the door to feel judged. We want them to be able to come into our salon and feel like they're coming into our home and being welcomed in and looked after like you would a guest in your home. So a sense of belonging in those values are a key part to our culture. So the next thing I'd really like to talk about is our culture calendar. So a culture calendar is actually something that you can create for any team. We have one with our Main Salon team, and I really want to share that with you today because the culture calendar is a whole list of events or actions or things that happen within our team and within our salon space that keep the team cohesive. We all know what's happening. It's got some work stuff in there. It's got some fun things in there as well. And I want to share with you about 5 or 6 things that we actually have in our culture calendar, how they look when we're together in the salon, and how we've actually managed to take some of those things and continue doing them while we're all in isolation. Because let's face it, the landscape has changed dramatically with being in isolation and the way that we can stay connected as a team and feel like we're still all in this together. So starting off with our culture calendar, the main thing is having it sort of kind of structured so that everyone actually knows what is going on. So one of the first things I want to talk about is team meeting. Yes, because communication is everything. Nathan just made a comment on the thing, and I 100% agree. It is so important. So with our team meetings, we currently hold them once a fortnight for an hour and a half, and our team meetings are very structured. So either myself or one of my salon managers will take the team meetings. And our structure, let me just talk through our structure quickly. So we have like a templated structure. Happy to share that too, of course. And we start out with, every single team meeting starts out with gems, and I'll come back to that. So we start with gems, and then we move into some housekeeping. So housekeeping might look like, a service that we've implemented, how's that going, and some feedback and that sort of thing. Or it might be a new system that we've put in place, and perhaps something's not quite working out with it, and let's talk about that. Anything sort of housekeeping-ish like that. And then we move into incentives. We often run incentives. They might be individual or they might be team-run incentives. And with the incentives, we just check in and see who's winning or where everyone is at and what can we do to drive and get there so that we achieve them. And then we go into the body of our meeting. So I think the most important thing with a meeting is to have some relevance or have like content that is actually going to empower and grow and improve your team in some way, shape or form. I do hear often from salon owners they don't have team meetings, and that's good. Everyone runs their teams differently. And often I think it's because the comment that gets made, I just don't really know what to do in those team meetings. So the things that we have as body of content in general is we're either teaching new skills, so we use that time to share hairdressing skills and techniques with each other, or we are teaching communication skills, ways to consultate, ways to kind of like connect a bit more, or we're working on something that is like a team plan. So for example, we have a charity that we choose a charity every single year that we look after, and we have meetings around that. So we have like a body of our meeting might be about taking that charity and what are we actually going to do for that charity and how's it going to look and who's going to own it and delegate the task. So a meeting could look like that. Going back to our gems, so we start every team meeting with a gem. So a gem is like a diamond or a pearl or a lovely compliment that each person is going to give everybody in the team. So we have a gem jar, And over the course of a week, everybody can write down a behavior or something great that has happened in the salon that relates back to our values. So this is how we actually start to live the behavior of our values and bring the values to life in our salon. So a gem might simply be, let's say that I was giving someone a gem in my team. I might say my gem is for Megan this week for loyalty. I had a whole lot of things that I needed to achieve this week, and she knew that, and she kept checking in on it, and she was giving me feedback about what I was doing and where it was great and perhaps what I could tweak. So thanks, Megan, for your value of loyalty over the last week. And that way we're actually starting to bring behaviors into the salon life with our values. So that's what a gem is. And a gem jar is a really cute little thing to have in your staff room or at your reception. It's a reminder that, you know, we don't always let people know the great things that they're doing because we get busy. So it's a great reminder to set that up. And coming back to team meetings, so we're now doing them online over this lockdown period, and it's been great. We held our first one last week. So I had a conversation, I'd just like to share this with you. I had a conversation with one of my team members, and she said, you know, Janine, for the last week, actually she's one of my managers, for the last week, I have felt like I've been really connected with people through messaging them and talking to them on the phone. But you know what? I'm actually not, because I haven't got the backroom chats that I used to have, and I'm not listening to the other team members talk to their clients on the salon floor and getting involved in those conversations or hearing about what they're up to. And I thought, yeah, what a very valid point. So we currently are running team meetings in the salon once a week, but we've put a couple of extra things into our weeks now so that we really connect, because no backroom chats and no client conversations mean that we aren't perhaps as connected to each other like we normally are. So I think that was great insight for her to share with me. So that's team meetings, and we are doing those online, and we are holding them on the same day at the same time so that they are actually familiar. When I held the first one last week, I thought, because we're going online, should I change it and make it different? And then I actually decided, no, you know what? I have, in a world of disruption and kind of craziness at the moment, people are looking for reassurance and stability. So I decided just to run our team meeting exactly the same. So yes, we did the same day, slightly different time, and started exactly the same with our gems, with some housekeeping. So yeah, it was great to do that. I see a question there about what platform I'm using for online meetings. So we are using Zoom. Yeah. So Zoom is great. You can, everybody can see each other. We can engage in conversations and share different things as we go. So that's team meetings. And then another thing that I'd like to share with you from our culture calendar is a daily huddle. So every day in the salon, we have a daily huddle. The reason we have a daily huddle is because we need to set the energy. The person with the strongest energy in the room is going to set the energy for the salon that day. So our 15-minute huddle is about setting that energy, checking in with everyone, making sure everybody's good, and then going through what the day looks like, maybe what the challenges are ahead of us in the salon, or potentially some challenges we had yesterday and are we all feeling okay about that, or some wins from yesterday. We go through KPIs at that time too. We sort of address where the salon's at for key performance as well as individuals and how we can maybe help or what they're going to focus on to get there. And then we talk about new clients coming into the salon because we have a slightly different service system for them. So we just need to make sure that we're ready for them and that we have the resources and things that we need to make sure that they have that first new client experience. So instead of daily huddles, because we're not together at the moment, so we haven't been able to do that. So what we're doing instead is we've created a daily challenge and a day in the life of me in isolation. So what that looks like is each team member has been allocated a day where they do a day in the life of them in isolation. And then they also have a day with, on the same day, they have to come up with a daily challenge. So it's only one day per team member. And it means that we get a daily challenge and a day in the life for our Instagram story. The daily challenges have been excellent. They've been creative. They've kept the team connected. Some of the things that are coming up are do the best plank or a crazy hair day. And what else did we do? Escaping from lava. So everyone was jumping up and down on things. And the team have been really creative with the things that they've come up with. And it's been a lot of laughs and a lot of connection, which I think is the most important thing on a daily level. And then the other great thing about that is we are popping them into our story, our Instagram and Facebook story, and clients are getting to, or our followers and clients are getting to vote on which one should win. So, and that way we're engaging and keeping the connection between our stylists and their clients as well. And the same thing for a day in the life of me in isolation. Everybody's story is so very different, and it makes it interesting, and it also allows our clients to connect a little bit deeper with our stylists because they're actually seeing what their life looks like outside of the salon. So that's been excellent as well. And that's how we've managed to keep some creativity, connection, and client involvement while we've all been in isolation.
Hey, Janine, we have a question from Sophie. Do you go through with your team KPIs on a daily basis?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Great question. So KPIs are a core part of how we roll at Main Salon, within the salon. So we do touch on them most mornings in the huddle. So the daily huddle, we talk about, we read out everybody's KPIs, where they're at with them, what they need to look at, where they're at and what they could potentially do, or give me one thing that you're going to focus on today that is going to help lift this one KPI perhaps today. So we do it in the daily huddle, and then we also have an in-depth session with each team meeting once a week, one-on-one. It's usually taken by one of my managers, or if I'm around, I love to sit in on them and just catch up with everybody. And so we go through the KPIs in much more depth then. We actually run a dashboard system with our KPIs. So we, just like a traffic light, we're red, orange, green. So there's benchmarks that people know they need to achieve so that they can be green in their KPIs. Obviously the goal is green and red is not good. So we work together in our one-on-ones to create strategies and ways in which they can go forth and become empowered to hit those KPIs. Does that answer that question? Is that all good?
We're good, Janine. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So that is our sort of daily huddle, has now become a day in the life and daily challenge. And that's how we've sort of taken an everyday salon situation and put it online so that we're staying connected. Social club, I want to talk a little bit about social club, because social club can actually be something that any team can bring into their world. So a social club, I think the best thing about a social club is it's actually not managed by management. I don't manage it. My managers don't manage it. It's a committee run based event that one or two team members look after. They look after the finances of it, they look after the events and the delegation of the tasks that need to be done. So social club for us, how it works in the salon is every team member once every week donates $5 out of their wages, and it just goes straight into from payroll, it just goes straight into social club. And then from there the committee members, share ideas and events that we're going to do. The only thing that Main has to do with the finances is we run incentives, and we use those incentives as a way to put money into the team fund as well. So for example, like for the month of February, for every treatment sold, $1 would go into the team account. So it's a way that we can keep propping up the social club fund so that there's enough to go and do some great things with. So that's how it works, and I think it's excellent that it's actually about the team and they drive it and it's what they want to do. And of course, yes, I go along and attend. It's great fun. And I've never had anyone join the team that doesn't want to be involved with that because of the funness of it and the cool things that they get up to. So the way in which we've actually brought that online and created an ability to stay connected is in a shared calendar. We've created an optional event. There's lots and lots on the moment. There's lots of education, but there's also lots of fitness classes, yoga, dancing to get fit. So one of the girls is following an excellent group of girls that are called, their Instagram is Shut Up and Dance, and they're amazing. So they teach this great dance to, you know, modern music, and by the end of it, you know the full dance. So yeah, they're great. Anyway, so that is that's gone into our shared calendar while we're off in lockdown and isolated from each other, and everyone will join together on Zoom that wants to, and we'll do a shut up and dance class together. So I think that's a great way that we've managed to integrate social club activities and keep that alive while we're still separated. So that's our social club. And then we have, just going back to, you know, we don't have the ability to have quick chats in the staff room or while we're having lunch, or listening to our other stylists have conversations with their clients. So it actually triggered to me that, yeah, I think I need to just create one more touch point during the week that is optional to join in with us on or not. So we've created Friday Coffee and Chats, and that's very much a bit like a book club. So instead of using books, though, we are going to use podcasts. So how that looks is we will put a podcast into our Facebook group page. We use our Facebook group page for all forms of communication. Sometimes we put funny things in there. It's always kind of events driven, that sort of thing. So we'll put our podcast into there. Those that want to will listen to the podcast, and then we'll catch up on a Friday morning at 10:30 while we're in isolation and share the good, the great, the weird. I wouldn't recommend that, or I loved it, the whole world needs to hear it. Whatever we kind of thought about those things. So that's an extra kind of way of communicating with the team over the over the next 2 or 3 weeks while we're in lockdown. One other thing that we do too, actually, which I just absolutely love, is we have a thing called Manies Who Lunch. So it comes from the term ladies who lunch. We made it about us, maniacs who lunch. So once every quarter, we close the salon early at 2:30, and the salon takes everybody out for drinks and platters, or somewhere nice in the sun, or somewhere cozy when it's winter. And it's just a way for us to connect socially, and not have too much structure. We always often talk shop, let's face it, that's what hairdressers do when we all get together. However, it is really about connecting socially and connecting in a slightly different way. So there is an expectation that everybody goes, because normally they would be at work from 2:30 to 4:30. And so they need to come to Manies Who Lunch till at least 4:30. And sometimes those Manies Who Lunch, they can go on to the wee small. So it just depends on, you know, what's going on, and it's great fun. And I think it's such a great thing that we've added to our culture calendar. And the way in which we actually took that online last Friday. So pre-lockdown, I've really been communicating with my team about COVID-19 for a long time, you know, getting them prepared for the fact that we might actually be in line for a lockdown. I said to them, you know, we might have to cancel Maniacs Who Lunch, because it's just not going to be right to be seen going out in a big group and having drinks and things. And we were all a bit disappointed, but accepted it. However, because we did go into lockdown, we decided, actually, you know what, we can do Maniacs Who Lunch online. So again, we used Zoom as our platform, and we all met online. Everyone had to bring a cocktail or a mocktail of their choice that they'd made, and we created a little quiz, which was excellent. I learned some things about my team members that I had no idea about. I think we all learned stuff about each other, actually. So, you know, we don't have to, just because we're in lockdown and isolated, we really just need to look at ways that we can put it online rather than cancelling some of these things. So that was excellent. And I think by that stage it had actually nearly been a week between kind of seeing each other, because when we first went into lockdown, I just said to everyone, take a few days, get your head around what's going on, and then we'll reconnect. So by the time we connected for Manies Who Lunch, it was just great to see everybody's face and kind of go, okay, cool, yes, we've got this, we've still got some kind of normal going on. So that's Manies Who Lunch. And one other thing I want to share with you is something that one of my colleagues, another salon owner, is doing here in Wellington as well. Some of you may know her. Her name is Kate Russell. She's actually a platinum key for styling with Kevin Murphy, and she has a salon here in Wellington Chop. And I was chatting with her about, you know, what are you doing? And this is what we're doing. And so she shared with me that what she's doing with her team is they all have to go, and everyone wants to come to Manies Who Lunch. Yes, it's a good time, trust me. So what Kate is doing with her team is she's actually getting them to all go out and find some form of education or something that's inspiring them, And then from there, they need to go and recreate it either on a mannequin head or a how-to video or anything like that. And then as a team, they will all go through it, or Kate will do one-on-ones with those team members and just talk about that. And I think the great thing about that Kate and I talked about was that then you're really tapping into the things that are inspiring individuals or the education that they want to see. Because I think often as team leaders and salon owners and managers, we put things in front of people that we think that they need or they want to do. And now is a really great time for them to actually look at their gaps and think, what do I want to have more skills in or more strength in when I go back into the salon, and do it that way. So come at it from another angle. And I was thinking this morning, I thought I might throw that challenge out to our COLOR.MASTER team. So I think all of our COLOR.MASTER team should find some education or some kind of, or a podcast or something that's inspiring, and then share it in a Dropbox folder and meet together and kind of chat about that. So I'm throwing that challenge out live, COLOR.MASTER team, so we can't back out of it now. And I think it'll be great because we're all looking at such different things, and it's an excellent way to really share different educators. You know, we have a wealth of education in our global team, and ideas and inspiration and talent and skills. And one of the things that I'm most excited about is over this lockdown, my team can watch all of the KMTV lives, they can join in the webinars, and they're suddenly starting to get this great education from all the people that I talk highly of all the time. And I just think, you know, out of this isolation lockdown, there's so many silver linings, and that is one of the big ones for my team, I think. So that is all of the things that we've kind of been doing to keep our culture calendar alive, and keeping it online and moving it into more of a separated yet staying connected format. So hopefully some of that will be of help to you. One of the things that we have created is a shared calendar. So one of my managers went through and created a shared calendar for a month. And into that shared calendar, we have put everything. We've put all of our events, everybody's daily challenge, everybody's day that they're doing the day in isolation, all of our team meetings, all of our education. I'll touch on education in a little bit. We've also loaded all of the KM TV live sessions so that everybody knows when they're on. And I'm actually going through as well and putting into it links and dates for a lot of the webinars for Kevin Murphy, so that the team know when they're on and they know when they can get involved. And I think a few of them are actually going to be joining Leland one morning this week. I think it might be Thursday morning our time. He's 6 a.m, so we'll be getting up to join him early. He's doing a PhD, and it's so new to our team, so they're all really excited about being able to jump in a webinar and really develop that knowledge on that. So it's great. So a shared calendar is actually an excellent way of setting that expectation of while you're in lockdown, we are still all being paid. So there are things that we need to do as a team, just like we would if we were at work. And then having some optional things in there keeps it sort of not too firm and structured. So, you know, we're still doing social things and things that are optional, but we're also layered in amongst that, we're doing things that are expected. And that takes away the whole challenge of some team members maybe not wanting to get involved with a situation or a topic or an event or something, because if we have expected ones and then optional ones, is very clear. So hopefully that little tip or idea helps some of you. The shared calendar is great because we can all go in and out of it. And let me just talk about another. Have you got a question, Tim?
I do, Janine. You can hear me. Yes. So on this topic, what has been your most unexpected bright spot during this time as a salon owner that you would like to share?
Yeah, sure. So I think the unexpected bright spot really has been the enthusiasm with which, like, it's actually a really tough time, but the enthusiasm that my team still come to each event online, and they still feel good, and they feel reassured and safe, I guess, secure, you know, because we are still doing these things, we are still connected. My team is dynamic. It's a really special team. Like, everybody genuinely really enjoys working together, and I think, you know, just going back to values, everybody knows the boundaries, they know the expectations and the behaviors, and it does create a very, very cohesive team. And so I've been really impressed and amazed at just the energy that they're still bringing to things in a time where everything's a little bit disruptive. So hopefully that helps.
Yes, we've got two other questions, Janine. So we've got a question from Andre, just a reminder of how many are on your team, and is the entire team involved in these initiatives?
Sure, yeah, so that's a great question. I have 15 in my team, and we are in 2 locations, but we still operate very much as one team. So we come together for team meetings and hair nights and things like that. And yes, everyone is involved in these initiatives. So, I won't lie, I've had challenges with not every single person doing every single thing, especially with like our daily challenge. There's 1 or 2 that haven't perhaps done every challenge. And, like with those things, generally how we get people across the line with that sort of thing is just a reminder that actually it is an expectation, it is part of your job description right now, and then also B, making it so fun that people actually want to get involved. So that sort of thing is how we try and get everybody to join in on the initiatives. We had we didn't really have too many challenges around technology. Some of my team were really nervous about, I don't know how to work Zoom, I don't know how to do this. And so as team leaders or managers, we need to make that easy for them. So, creating the platforms or joining up to the platforms and then talking them through, it's actually quite easy, team. This is what you need to do, step 1, 2, and 3, and just keeping that conversation and communication strong around that.
That's great, Janine. 2 more questions. So we've got a question from Adrian. Any ideas on how you provide incentives for stylists to stay involved right now when most likely they're not being compensated?
Yeah, sure thing. So one of the things that we're actually looking to do at the moment is, if this goes on for a lot longer, we're going to look to start doing one-on-ones with team members and their clients. So what that would look like is, say one of my executive stylists will connect with a client of hers who potentially books in a one-on-one online, and we'll share, tips like how to grow out that fringe because you can't trim it, or how to style a grown out fringe, or how to do a lovely blow wave or a quick hair up, those kind of things. So those sort of things can be incentivized, definitely. With our daily challenges, we do talk about prizes at the end, and when we all connect, we can look to do prizes for those winners of our daily challenges. So far it's been someone different every day, so that can be incentivized. One of the things I'll share with you that we do in our team meeting too, which I forgot to mention, is we do a goodie bag dip. So a goodie bag dip is, we have a whole lot of things, like a lucky dip with lots of things. There's often a lot of Kevin Murphy merch in there. Everybody wants that when I come back from traveling. So they anyone that's hit a KPI or something that's been incentivized, they get to pull something out of the bag and keep it. So the daily challenge, likely when we go back into the salon, that will be incentivized that way. They'll be able to, all of the winners will get a goodie bag dip. Does that answer that well?
Yes, that's great, Janine. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So those are all of the things that we have on our culture calendar. So I hope some of those ideas help you sort of integrate and keep connected with your clients and your team. The other thing that I really want to talk about with you today is education. So I think education is at the core of any good, strong team. Hi, Sarah Lee, thanks. At the core of any strong team. Before I get started on that, I've just seen a question from Sarah Lee come through about what will we charge for this one-on-one with clients. And it's a great question, so I'm just going to answer that now. We actually had a team discussion around this, so we have 2 thoughts. And one is that at this time, we don't charge. We really want to maintain that connection with our clients, and instead of charging them, it's kind of like just looking after them in this time, if you like. We do, however, have a chosen charity, which is called A Whole Lot of Love, and it's in support of cancer. So one thought we had is that anyone that has a one-on-one could make a koha or a donation to that charity for us. The other thought is that, yes, we charge for them, and I haven't really put a price on that, but anywhere maybe from 50 to 100 New Zealand dollars, depending on the level of the stylist that is actually taking those one-on-ones. We have we have 3 levels in our salon. We have new talent, emerging talent, and then executive stylists. So, you know, if an executive stylist was taking one, they would definitely charge a lot more. They know a lot more, their value is higher, they're more experienced. And then one of my, say, emerging talents, they would either charge less or maybe do it for a donation or koha for our charity. So that's what we're kind of looking at the moment. Hey Adrian, yes, I'm great. Hope you are too. Nice to see you here. Okay, so let's dive into a bit of education. So yeah, I think education is at the core of any team. You know, and education for us with our team is not just about, and this includes the Kevin Murphy Masters team and education team as well. We're always like looking at all forms of education. It's not just skill sets. We do a lot of training on skill sets, definitely, because that's a given that we have to deliver excellent color and excellent cutting and styling services and skills. There's also a lot of training that needs to be done, and we do this quite a lot with the main team, and also when we get together as an education team for Kevin Murphy on behaviour, systems and communication, and the way in which we deliver either an education program or we deliver a service. So all of that is actually, we need to have education courses on those things too, education sessions. So we often run those. That's a large part of what we do when we have a team meeting. Our body of the meeting, which is about an hour, is always centered around something like that, and we work from the outcome backwards. So it might be that a service is not being done by all of the stylists in the salon particularly well. So the outcome is that we need to change that and make that better. And what we'll be looking at is it a skill set problem? Is it a system or strategy problem? Or is it a communication problem? And from there, we create our content for the meeting and really work through as a team how we can get the outcome that we need. Oh, hi, Sarah. Yes, the PhD webinar is open to all. Leland is a Color Master from the US, and he is taking that. We can probably put a link into the comments, maybe. I'll leave that with Tim.
Got it, Jenny.
Cool, thank you. I think the thing with education too is that we actually really need to make sure that we stay at the top of our game. Our clients are seeing the same thing we are online now. The industry has changed a lot from people wanting to come into salon environments or education courses and find out what we know or what is happening. Now they have access to that. They're seeing the same YouTube and the same Instagram and the same Facebook education and trends and things that we are. So as educators and as hairdressers in an amazing team, we need to make sure that we stay at the top of that. We need to be at the top of our game so that we can deliver the best cut, color, styling that we can, and charge more and earn more, which is what we're all in it for at the very end of the day. But also it allows us to deliver like the best customer experience. So whether it is as an educator, when I'm delivering an education session to a team of students, I need to be at the top of my game. I actually really need to bring something of value to them today. They've given up their time for me, so I really need to make sure that I take value into their education course. And it's the same with my team in the salon. The clients are choosing to come and spend their money and their time with Main Salon. So we need to make sure that we deliver not only a great cut and colour, but also a fantastic customer experience, right from walking in the door to walking out the door and even before that. But actually that's a whole nother session, so don't even get me started on that, I'll stop. So I'm going to just share a couple of the things that we are doing with regard to education, what we're doing in our salon now and how we've sort of taken it online in this moment of isolation and separation. So one thing that we run every week with our salon is on a Tuesday we run what we call Main Salon Academy, and it's basically a training day. So we train from 9:30 to 2:30 in the salon with usually our younger stylists, our apprentices. So in New Zealand, our apprentices the ones learning from zero to finish on how to be a hairdresser, and that it takes roughly between 2 to 4 years. And often when I look around in the industry, a lot of apprentices maybe get 2 or 3 hours of training while a stylist is still doing a haircut, and it's kind of bounce in, bounce out. And I think we created the academy because we actually really need to meet the way that millennials want to be trained and the speed at which they want to be educated as well. So that's why we created the academy, and it is very much a case of students learning on students. So we have a separate academy clientele. They've become very regular, and it's often students or semi-retired ladies or retired ladies that have like a retouch and a blow wave, and they have more time and don't want to spend as much money, and it is great. So our students or our trainees are learning on real people, and you know the best thing about it is they actually feel like they are hairdressing, which is what they signed up for. So they don't feel like they're stuck at the basin or always cleaning or always sweeping. They actually have what is considered by them a client day, and they're working through their training modules as they go. So, you know, the key thing for me too around having a good, strong training structure within our salon is that we can actually progress our young ones a little bit faster. There is a school of thought around it being expensive to train someone or expensive to have an apprentice, and I really think that's more about how we develop them and how we choose to give them the skill sets and what we allow them to do at certain points in time. So I'm actually going to be talking about that a bit later on in another webinar, the journey of a colorist, so growing them from not being able to do anything to being able to take some clients. And the faster that we do that, obviously, the better. So we normally do that on a Tuesday, and we've decided to keep that on a Tuesday. And the apprentices will be trained in exactly the same way as they would if we were in the salon on a Tuesday. And and they've also been sent an email with some KPIs of my expectation, or Maine's expectation, if you like, of what they actually need to have achieved over the 4 weeks that they're off. They're still going to get the same kind of training. They're still going to be working through their training modules. And if you listen to Kate Reed when she was live on Friday, she was chatting about, you know, we need to get a bit smarter about how we're going to get all of these clients that have been off in isolation and want their grey or their long regrowths and things covered. So, you know, one of the KPIs for my apprentices, and they're both brand new, like literally Molly started with us 2 weeks before we got shut down, and Bella has been with us maybe 3 months. So super important that we remain very connected to them and that they feel like they are still going to be trained and will still be able to be a hairdresser right now, I think. So they know at the end of 4 weeks they need to be able to do a global colour in a timely manner, which for us means 15 minutes. And they also need to be able to blow wave or style or finish someone's hair. And in that way, we can utilize those girls to do the more of the kind of global blow wave clients, and leaving the senior and executive team to be able to do the color corrections that we're going to get, or the big regrowths and the blonde foils and things like that. So that's kind of why we're keeping their training days up. A, to, you know, keep them feeling like, yes, they're part of Maine. B, they're still being taught to be a hairdresser, and C, there's a plan for them when we go back to salon work, salon life as we know it. So
Janine,
yeah,
we have a question. Sorry, we have a question from Jamil, who also has 2 locations, and it's a multi-part question.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself emerging as a leader in both locations or just one? How much time do you spend in or on both locations? Do you deliver education in both locations, and how often a month?
Okay, great. So that's a great question, and lots of things. I'll try and remember all of the things that are in there. So when we run our training academy on a Tuesday, that is run out of one location. It was the first location that I set up, and because when I originally opened Main Salon 8 years ago, it was to provide opportunities for young salon and great training, because I'd spent some time as a freelance trainer in New Zealand, and just noticed that we were either losing young ones from the salon because they weren't progressing enough, or B, they just felt like they were kind of stuck at the basin or doing cleaning all the time. So I really wanted to change that. So that's why I set up the salon in the first place. And we actually grew that salon. The base of it was about creating an academy clientele and a training salon. So it's very well known for that. And we run our academy out of that on a Tuesday. It's also located intentionally right next to one of the universities. So it really works with that students working on students. So that answers that question, hopefully, about locations. Yes, we run education out of both salons. So generally, my team meeting is always at the other salon because it's much bigger. One is like tiny and the other one is much bigger. So we run all of our team training out of there. So if we're doing hands-on education with the team and they have models, we'll all work over there, or our team meetings generally tend to be over there. Academy is run out of the other salon A because it's built for it and was designed like that from the ground up. And it's big enough to have 5 or 6 trainees in there. So yeah, does that answer all of that question, Tim? I feel like I've forgotten something off of there.
No, are you, so both salon locations are considered leaders, and how much time do you spend in each location, you personally?
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, Maine is well known in New Zealand for being a training salon, definitely, and also for being a colour salon. We get a lot of colour corrections and like creative colour, as well as just like beautiful blondes and that sort of thing. That sort of comes down to what you put out on your socials as well, kind of entices those kind of clients in as well. But we do a lot of training and education on colour, so that is definitely our superpower. So we're known for that, and we're known to sort of be leading the way in New Zealand, I would say, for education and training more at an apprentice level. So really working on those core and foundation skills and then putting that layer of creative over the top. So that's what we're known for with the training side of it. And yes, I do spend time in both salons. It can be challenging, but actually, you know what? I'm very lucky and I'm very blessed to have 2 amazing managers that each work in each salon. One works in one salon and the other in the other, and they are incredible. I can be, you know, I'm a color master for Kevin Murphy Asia Pacific, so I'm away quite a lot as well. So that is no problem for me to be away from a salon performing and functioning perspective. Those girls have got that, and the team are great, you know. So of course there are times when they would like me to be there for certain things or whatever, but mostly that is very well run in my absence, and I'm proud of that actually. So when I'm home, yes, I like to spend different times in different salons, and I'll sit in on one-on-ones, or work through stock and inventory with Rach Pop, who kind of looks after that for us. So yeah, I'd like to have a presence. I love my team. I actually just really enjoy being in my salons and staying connected with people. So hopefully.
Thank you, Janine. I have another question.
Yep.
For your academy, the academy that you mentioned, do you pay your apprentices, and do clients pay a discounted price, or they get the service complimentary?
Okay, yes, great question. So let's start with academy apprentices. So when I first started, you know what, it was very much a case, I think we did 2 days of academy, and I paid for one day and the other day was theirs. It was sort of like half, and because I was building a new business, I didn't have the finances to pay for 2 days of training, if that makes sense. But everyone that I onboarded at that time, this is going back 8 years, and it was quite an innovative approach to salon training, and they were in it because they knew that they were going to get the skills and also progress faster. So that was good. But over time, you know, as the business has become more financially stable, my apprentices now get paid for it. Even as little as 2 or 3 years ago, it was a case of when you're new talent, it's half your time, half mine. And when you became emerging talent and started to actually run an academy clientele, it became, you know, all paid time. But now I'm in a position where, thankfully, and I like that I am in this position, I pay the apprentices to be at training. So that's good. I think it's great to have reached that plateau. And the clients, yes, they do pay. So they pay an academy price. So we have an academy price menu, and they pay that. So, for example, I think a haircut is like $35 or something like that. And maybe a full head of foils is around $80, $85. And we have add-ons, you know, like part of the training in our academy is actually teaching them how to add-on treatments and put that home hair care in front and educate on home hair care, and you know, so all of those things are in there as well. Does that answer those?
Yes, thank you, Janine. I've got a question that came through quite in the beginning, but I just wanted to run it across you now.
Yeah.
Interested in, what are your favorite Kevin Murphy products in the salon?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, we're a Colour.Me salon, and the introduction of PhD is just fantastic, a real game changer. So that has quickly become a favourite Kevin Murphy product for us. In the salon, we often focus on different parts of different ranges. I think as stylists, we find favourite products and we tend to use them all the time and don't look outside of them. So one of the things that we do probably every third or fourth meeting is we get Nicholas in, who works for our distributor, and he comes in and he does like a learn me, or teaches them about products that we don't tend to use all the time. So that way we are focusing on more of the full range. My personal favourite product, I really love Eversmooth. I like how it holds a good blow wave for a good 2 or 3 days for me. That's excellent. And anti-gravity, because I think anti-gravity was the first product I ever discovered of Kevin Murphy's, and it was back when I started. I'd left my salon that I used another product range in heavily for years, and I went freelance training and discovered anti-gravity through another educator, and was just blown away by the performance of the product. So that's still one of my favorites today. I use it because it gives me great volume and it makes the hair texture super easy to do hair up work or styling as well. So those will be my 2 favorites for today. Is that all good? Well, 3. PhD was in there too.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise today.
No problem at all. Hey, before I head away, Tim, I just want to share one thing that I've been thinking about with people. One thing based on conversations is just at the moment, I think as team leaders, managers, owners, we really need to have that communication strong with our team to create that reassurance and connection. But the thing I really wanted to just share at the minute is really thinking about what a plan to return to our salons is going to look like in the next few weeks, or whenever that might happen to any of us. So I'm just going to share a couple of things that I've thought about. We're currently a level 4. If we get dropped to a level 3, what does that look like? Will we all go back into the salon and start working? And 2 key things for me. One is the cost to the reputation of our business would someone potentially either have COVID once they've been in our salon, like 2 days later, like the effect to our reputation on that. So I think it's really important to sort of think about those things, and also the well-being of your team. Like if they're anxious about going, and I just think don't make them go to work in that situation, like I've really thought about what it will look like to open. A couple of key things for me is 2 strategies I've thought about. One is we might have a frontline team. So it might be a smaller amount of us that are actually feeling steady and okay to go in and do some clients that will take that, and everybody else will remain in isolation. The other is to potentially have split teams, so either split by days of the week or split by week. And the reason that, hey Savvy, the reason that I would look to do that is because then if clients or the team are sick, we can then look to the other part of our team, or those kind of things. So I would encourage you to kind of take a moment and just think about all of the challenges, or what it might look like when we have to ring all the clients and get them booked in, and who's going to do that, and who's going to deal with all the emails and the phone calls that go while we're sort of trying to schedule everyone's appointments and that sort of thing. So start with the outcome in mind and really start to make a clear plan about what it is going to look like when we return to work, because as leaders, our team are waiting for us to share that with us. So yeah, hopefully that's all good. One reminder, Wade is on this afternoon. So Wade Blackfoot is going to be doing some styling on KMTV Live this afternoon. So make sure you don't miss him. I think he is on at 5 p.m. Is that right, Tim?
It's 5 p.m. Melbourne, yes.
Yeah, 5 p.m. Melbourne. So those of you in New Zealand watching, that is 7 p.m. for us this evening. So make sure you tune in and gain some great tips, tricks, and everything that he is sharing today. And from me, I hope some of that was of value to all of you. I've really enjoyed sharing some of the things that are working for us now and have worked for us in the past when we were all together. And most importantly, just stay well, try and enjoy the gift of time that we have been given, and work on your business or with your team, and stay well. Bye.
Did you end it?
Nope.